Welcome to Club Wisdom 8's SR ranking. Yes, I've moved on from SSR to SR, and SSR ranking for the version 1, that will soon be upgraded. But with regard to the SR ranking, for now, I'm putting in my top 10 units that I'm looking for on my rolls and when I'm playing the game. So please keep this in mind. It's just for... Okay, so with regard to this ranking, I'm starting with none other than the healer, and her name is Saphir. Now, she's a priest who can become prophet, and what she has is this great move. It's called Merciful Heart, I believe. Yeah, it's great talent, let's say. And yeah, this buff, yeah, it can it gives plus 30% on when the heal is given. And it says increases by 30%, but lasting 2 turns. I like the idea that it lasts for 2 turns and not 1. And with regard to where she can go in the game, I'm not going to say too much because actually I'm not that interested in her. But there are some others I'm more interested in. Who I prefer more to her begins with Tiaris at SSR. However, I doubt I'll get her. However, I'm still preferring to raise Imelda instead, and she's the first unit. She's the R unit, the one you get at the beginning. So with regard to that, where is she? Sorry, not the N unit. I'm actually going to go in Imelda's direction instead. But so it doesn't really matter for me because I really want to raise this protagonist. But if you find somebody who you can pair up Saphir with, if you feel there's some good bonding going on, if you feel there's some good integration, which I'll talk about in the future, then yeah, perhaps think about her. Okay, next. Okay, let's go to number 9. And number 9 is none other than Silver Wolf. Silver Wolf has great looks, actually. He's probably the best one of the SR units for me. So having like this bandit ninja thief, or however you want to call him, would be great. A great asset to the team. However, my Matthew, the main character, the protagonist, the one at the beginning, I've actually made him into a thief. So he'll be well, not exactly the same, but similar to Silver Wolf. But now that we have this other new character, a new hero we got for free, an SSR unit called Diehard, Silver Wolf actually couples pretty well with him. Well, you'll find out later on when I make future videos. So actually Silver Wolf, his potential is pretty high. And let's take a look at his talent. Okay, so for every buff, attack and defense decreases by 7%, at most by 21% if attack is critical, and he steals 2 buffs from targets. I like the idea he can steal 2 buffs, but what I really like about him is his attack break. A 50% chance to reduce the enemy's attack and intellect by 20% for 1 turn. But what I don't like is that it's a 50% chance. However, reducing the enemy's attack and intellect by 20%, depending on who the enemy is, I mean, this could be ruthless. And that's the next skill, ruthless. But so anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But what I do think is that because my unit Matthew is actually, I brought him up to be to become a thief at the end, I'm not so sure that Silver Wolf would be a good choice for me. So for you, he might come up better. And now that Diehard's in the fray, yeah, please think carefully about what you want. Yeah, what you're going to go for. And yeah, with going for Shadow, okay, so you got it quite easy with the choices because it's not like an SSR where you have like 2 choices in the tree. Okay, so please consider this carefully, and if however you're trying to pull, and good luck. For the next unit, I want to talk about none other than number 8, Kirikaze. Now, with regard to him, I doubt I'm going to be able to get an SSR unit who's a swords unit who, like, I don't think I'm going to be able to get Eldwin, for example. So as a result, I may have to go with him. However, Kirikaze is quite interesting, or weird in some respect, if you go in the shadow direction. But for me it's weird because my Matthew is going to become a shadow unit by the end. So I'm, with regard to the class tree, because that I picked him as a thief unit. So that may not be the direction I go. So So if you do not have a shadow unit, for example, and you want to have a sword unit, maybe Kirikaze is the way to go. And his pairing with Diehard, again, this new unit has for me increased his ranking. I mean, before I would have placed him as number 9, but now I've moved him up to number 8 because of our free SSR unit. So, and not only that, Kirikaze, he out of the SI units, out of my top 10 anyway, he has the best attack of 44, and that's excellent. And his critical talent, his critical rate is really good. So yeah, with regard to this dual wield, you might want to have a look at that later. And not just that, if you play if you're going to play with Silver Wolf and you're going to go into shadow direction, then maybe if you're going to play with Kirikaze too, then maybe put him in the Sword Saint direction. And if Matthew is not the shadow type unit, you didn't put him in that direction, then maybe there is quite a nice pairing there. But this is up to you again. Again, I'm probably at this moment more likely to go with Matthew and just develop him. Okay, so next up. Okay, let's move into number 7, and with this unit, for me it's quite controversial because, again, I'm not really sure that I'm really going to be using her. There you go, you have a clue. And with regard to this unit, her name is Freya, and she's a spear unit. And with regard to her positive points, let me say she combos really well with Diehard, Silver Wolf, and Kirikaze. Maybe I could say the DSK combo. She really pairs up well with them, as I'll explain in the future. And with regard to how she is, I mean, personally, on my other games in the past, I've used her. And she's really, I found her a powerhouse. I mean, at the beginning, she took off so much, and she's done so well, and I continued using her for a long time. But I must say, I feel that later on in the game, she's not as strong, and it just doesn't feel. She just doesn't feel as good as a unit that we'll be talking about later on. Although her, let's say, her talent increases her crit rate by 10%, and her damage output is strong, I would say, give her a chance at the beginning, but don't put too much onto her. Don't give her too much equipment. Don't give her too much of anything, because I don't think she's going to fulfill your needs later on if you're playing for the long run. So that's and also some other units there's going to be some better units later on as well. So please please relax on her, okay, if you can. But that's my point of view, and that's what I keep telling myself. So next up, number 6. This is again a very difficult choice to make. With regard to these units, okay, I'm going to discuss, and it's Hain, and I call him actually, I used to call him Harmful Hain, but yeah, and how do I put it? Okay, so at his maximum level, at like if you make him a wizard, he's pretty strong. His fireballs are crazy. I've watched him play, and and you know he's good. He's good to use, but again, although I say he's good to use in that respect, his damage as you continue through the game, it just doesn't seem to have such a strong effect, even though he does have a talent with his intellect. Actually, I remember he can increase his he can actually stack up his intellect. It says by 2%. Yeah, it can stack up, and I think he can stack it up like 3 or 4 times, maybe 4 times if I'm correct. And it's pretty good in one respect, but in another respect, I wouldn't feel it's that noticeable. So it's not. I don't think he he has such a big impact, and especially when there are going to be other magicians that you need to be aware of. So again, if you think he connects with the right person, if you think you confuse him with a good team, then that's one aspect. But again, I'm going to tell you more later about who else you can think of. Next up, we're entering into the top 5 territory. Now these are let's get on to it, because this is where it gets exciting for me. Okay, Nam. I've played with her quite a lot. I do like this unit, but again, in one respect I do, but in one respect I don't. And with regard to the global version, I've pulled her a lot of times, and I'm still, actually, in one respect, I'm very iffy about her, and what I'm planning to do, I'll give you one tip. There is a pack where you can actually get her shards, I believe, and I think so. You can have her as a unit, and you just have to pay like maybe $2. I'm thinking of going in that direction. Now, there are not many archers with regard to SR or SSR. I mean, I think SSR, you have Luna, for example, and I would definitely prefer Luna to her, because Luna's a Pegasus unit, but getting Luna's probably impossible. So with regard to using Nam, maybe she could be better. Another way is if your Matthew is archer type, that could work out well as well. So there are many different directions you can consider. Now, with regard to how she plays, what I like is that her tactical check is really interesting about when she hits someone, it decreases their mobility. They can't move. So actually you can use that. You can plan your positioning really well. And also when she hits, she can run away. Like, I think she can move about three grids, however you want to explain that. And that can really help in some respects if you know how to position to prepare for the next move. And the other thing about that is she can move over any terrain, from what I remember. So again, it was impressive, but I found as I continued to play my game, I just stopped using her as an archer. So so where are you going to play her? How are you going to play her? Maybe if you play on the goblin trials or something, maybe that it could help to keep the goblins in check later on. You'll find out what I mean. But it's really a difficult one. And not just that. I think if you really want her as your main unit, one of your main ones, equipment is a big problem with these archers. So if you're going into spending cash, maybe you could consider her, definitely. So again, it's a difficult choice. Good luck. Okay, now things are getting more interesting. The top 4 are the ones I'm practically dying for. So let's really get into that. Okay, so at number 4, Vargas. Now, if you look on the right hand side, yeah, he's a big player that I play with. I love him so much because there's only one thing you need to know: superhuman bravery talent. When he dies, he comes back alive, and he can also protect his teammates, etc. So he's really quite a powerhouse, and his magic defense is pretty good too. So I do like him. However, when you get him very high up, as you use him and you go up in level, you can get very high, getting into the 40s or even 50s with him. But there comes a point where he doesn't seem as good even when you get all his stars up. But later on in the game, they're going to buff him up from what I remember. And he'll be stronger. But I still think it depends on who you're setting up, your team setup here. So you have to think very carefully. And with regard to the choices and where you're going to go, I would probably go in the brave direction first. But anyway, so gladiator. But you need to think about that yourself. I like him a lot, and I'm hoping to get him. And now things are going to get even more interesting. We're on to number 3. And this is Chris, and if you've seen my older videos, you know that, I've been looking to pull her for a long time. However, so far I have not been so lucky with regard to global. Her talent, oh yeah, okay. The damage dealt, increases by 10% after attacking. Dispels 1 debuff from 1 ally and 1 block, and adds 1 random buff. You know, the present. I mean, I call her like the arcade machine. Like, she'll just give you a random buff. I mean, I really think like she could be like that big like fluffy doll monster from Final Fantasy VII, if you know, the one with the slot machine. I mean, because you don't know what you're going to get with regard to the buff. I really think, yeah, she's classed as a battle angel. She's really, yeah. I think she's probably one of the best type of healers that I would want. However, as you know, Tiaris would be is always on my list. So how to go about it, it's a difficult one. Either way. Now, in one respect, I must say that there's a problem with regard to her intellect, as if you there are some other units like in the 40s. I don't just mean Kazakazi, I just mean other, like there's magicians or whatever, and I think, yeah, you might need to use some equipment on her later on, and then you might end up sacrificing other things. So you have to think very carefully about her, and that's the problem. However, she can link very well with she can link well with Matthew and Die Hard. So actually, I had her lower. I had her at number 4 before, but because of Die Hard, I want her more than ever, and she's big on the list. So please think carefully. And now we're entering even more controversial territory, probably. And I want to talk about unit number 2. And that is the unit with my worst name ever. Sorry if this is your name. Eggbert. Yes, the great Eggbert with his egghead hat. Great. Now, Eggbert, one of the Dark Dragon sorcerers. So he's part of the Dark faction. And don't worry about that. Yeah. Now, with regard to him, he's cunning and merciless, but he's absolutely legendary. I mean, with regard to the Goblin Trials, with regard to his AoE damage, he's nuts. I mean, if you're at the beginning, if you need to get money or whatever, I mean, you're probably going to need him. So keep your eye out for him. If you're re-rolling and you get him, then you probably want to definitely keep him, because the amount of gold you're going to get using him is going to be crazy. So and you know, it's only, and with regard to his, like, I mean, his strength is crazy as well, but, and his damage is crazy, but if it wasn't for the hero, the unit at number 1, he would be number 1, and he should really be number 1 in many respects, but and let's just say he's the best at black magic anyway. And so, and I don't know what to say. Let's talk about this multiplier. I remember. When dealing damage, he deals fixed damage once to the enemy, and it's equal to 1 times his own intellect. Now that's a multiplier, and I'm guessing I haven't tried, but putting equipment on him and increasing his intellect, whatever, increase the damage more. I mean, this guy's nuts. I need to get him, but I don't know on global. I have not succeeded, but he is again so important. Keep your eyes out for him, definitely. And finally, let's go to number 1. Maybe you have a clue from number 2 who could be number 1, and here we go. It is none other than Imelda. Another magician here, and the Ice Dragon Knight, and she's dark. She's a dark magician from what I know. Now, let's just call her the Dark Queen. I want her, or a witch, however you want to put it. I want her more than any other other unit on the SR units. I want her more than maybe the last 3 or 4 of the SSR units. She's deadly. Deadly, and ice skills are her. Ice skills are what make her strong. And she has, I believe she has this like water wall, and it's completely nuts. In terms of her damage output, I mean some of her damage output may not be as strong as Eggbert's, but the way it works completely is a complete killer. So her troop damage increases by 20% after attacking cast iron hand on 4 allies. Okay, so all hero stats increase by 20%. I mean, that's nuts. I mean, and she's not even a healing unit, and she can like buff them up like that. I mean, yeah, Queen. I mean, this is nuts. And the mass heal. I mean, what the heck? She's supposed to, she has AoE damage, she has healing potential. I mean, she's everything I want. If I don't get Tiaris, I'm definitely, it doesn't matter what happens, she's definitely gonna be my unit of choice. So I hope, I really hope that anything I say could be helpful here. If there's anything, I do think that Imelda could be an SSR unit, and but I do think there are some issues. Let's just say with her soldier types. I don't personally. I just think it may not work. I don't want those types of soldiers on her. Put it this way. Anyway, but the Queen's role is super, and you're really gonna have to. I really hope that if there's anything that has helped you on this video, please really consider liking, subscribing. It really helps. And even if you strongly disagree with everything I've said or most of the things I said, please don't get angry. Just note down any reasons why you disagree, and if they're really good, I'll just pop them up on a video and just say, look, I'm wrong because of blah blah blah. It doesn't matter, but this is what I really want, and these are the units who I really believe are good. And this is based purely on what I know from Asian server. This is purely what I know with my Asian friends. This is purely what I know from my own research. So, and if there are people who don't know anything, then I really hope that this brings something, because honestly, when people are pulling, I really hope that, like when I'm pulling, for example, I want to know what kind of units I want to pull for. And I must finally say that with regard to the units who I said compare up with Die Hard, for you, these might be your first. These might be your favorite. These might become your favorite units because of how they can link with him. So everything depends. This is all dependent, and this is what I want. Okay. So all the best and good luck with your pulls. Club Wisdom 8, please like and subscribe so I can bring out more better material for you next time.